Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In this video, I would like to deliver my final presentation my presentation for final exam of pragmatics by titled Dominant Violation of the Maxim of Relation in the Podcast Communications. First, introduction. Podcasts are a popular form of communication that are informal, authentic. Here I analyzed a podcast of Sangong Ahmad, Who the Hell is This Bule, which is hosted by Habib Jafar, Onan, and Boris and Ladislaw as a guest star, a convert to Islam. The theme of this podcast revolves around a spiritual journey and change of belief from atheism to Islam. The reason for selecting this podcast is because, first, the theme about religions topic like this are quite sensitive. It means potentially violating communications principle. Second one, the casual, humorous, and non-confrontational speaking style makes this podcast rich in pragmatic data. This research study focused to analyzing maxim violations in conversations, particularly violations of maxim of relation. Background, a background of my presentation. In everyday communication, people often convey their thought not only through direct statement but also through subtle or indirect ways. Podcasts have become a popular medium where which interaction takes place naturally and informally. One such example is this episode, Who the Hell is this Bule? Which features a conversation about religions, conversion, specifically the journey of a man from atheism to becoming a Muslim. This podcast is considered sensitive and personal, which make this podcast an interesting subject for a pragmatic analysis. The speakers use humor, casual language, and indirect expression to maintain a respectful and relaxed atmosphere while discussing complex beliefs. This element makes the conversational rich and pragmatic phenomena, particularly violations of a maxim of relations proposed by Chris theory. The use of this violation is not accidental. Instead, they serve as strategies to avoid conflict, soften messages, and engage the audience in a more relatable way. The use of this violation is not accidental. Instead, they serve as strategies to avoid conflict, soften message, and engage the audience in a more relatable way. That is why this podcast was chosen as the focus of the study. Next, about theoretical framework. This study used Grace's cooperative principle, which include four maxims. First, quantity. Second, quality. Third, relation. And the last is manner. The rule of maxim of quantity is say as much as needed. And the rule of quality is be truthful. Rule of maxim of relation, be irrelevant. Then the last maxim of manner, the rule is be clear. Method and data. This research applies a qualitative method with a pragmatic discourse analysis approach. The focus is to explore how conversational maxims are validated in a podcast discussions, especially in a casual and humorous setting. The data source is an episode of the podcast titled Who the Hell is This Bule? Hosted by Habib Jafar, Onan, and Boris, with featuring Law as a convert to Islam. The topic of religious conversion makes the episode rich in sensitive and indirect communication. I then transcribed the entire conversation, then selected utterance that clearly violated Chris' maxims. The analysis focused on the three types of violations: maxim of relation, maxim of manner, and the last maxim of quantity. Each selected utterance was analyzed for its context, and the implicator behind the violation was interpreted to understand how it support politeness, humor, or emotional distance in communications. Next, about findings. What I found about uh, the example of conversations, the study in the study of in this research, I found three main types of maxim violations. There are relation, manner, and quantity. First, maxim of relation. Maxim of relation was most frequently violated, often used to create humor or avoid sensitive topics politely. For the example, Habib Jafar asked, asalnya berarti lu dari mana? And then Ladislaw answered, keluarga baik-baik. This conversation can be found at the 3:05 screen time. And the next example is Onet asked, is it because Indonesia is the majority? Jadi lu penasaran? And then Ladislaw said, oh no. Then Habib Jafar asked again. Then Ladislaw is answered. Jadi gini, I was born in lahirnya uh, di gedenya di Bali kan. Di Bali ini memang ada masjid banyak, tapi nggak semayoritas di Pulau Jawa. Nah, kebetulan pas saya pindah ke Jakarta, ngekosnya di Tebet masih. Belakangnya Sevel, gue inget masih. Dan Onat spontaneously ask, lu suka belanja di situ kan lu? Then Ladislaw answered, iya lagi. This conversation can be found at the 13:27 screen time. Nah, this statement is clearly not directly related to the topic, but it serves to lighten the mood. According to Greece 1975, this type of violation generates implicature, the implied meaning that the speaker intends to ease the intentions or make the guest feel more comfortable. Cutting theory or 2002. And next, maxim of manner. Maxim of manner was violated through vague or unclear speech, especially when discussing a personal or emotional topics. Manner. For the example, Ladislaw say, convert ke Islam itu a quite long story ya. Actually, jadi pernah karena gede di Bali akhirnya lahir Katolik, right? Di umur 2 tahun orang tua akhirnya memutuskan untuk pindah ke Bali. So ini menceritakan sedikit saja ya agar that bla bla bla. This conversation can be found in 3 or 15 screen time. This utterance contains metaphor and is not delivered explicitly. The sentence becomes broken and unclear. This reflects a politeness strategy in Brown and Levinson theory 1987 about incompleteness of sentences is part of the negative politeness strategy, a strategy to maintain distance and not to impose information and to let the listener infer for themselves. Next, Maxim of quantity violation include giving too much or too little information, often for a dramatic or comedic effect. The example of maxim of quantity. Violation of the maxims of quantity occur when a speaker gives either too much or too little information in this podcast. Such as violation are used to create a dramatic effect to avoid discussing sensitively details. Uh, these are about the conversation can be found in 26 or 51 screen time. The violation of the maxim of quantity in the Levinson theory 1983 in this part of the podcast is seen in first lack of information that actually answer the philosophical question raised, and too many expression and jokes that don't logically enrich the discussion, and unless the information provided is this appropriate to the needs of the context. These violations were intentional strategies to support humor, maintain politeness, and make the conversational make feel relaxed and engaging. Next, about for the last, it's about conclusion. This study shows that violation of conversational maxims, especially relation, manner, and quantity, are not communication failures, but strategic tools used by speaker in informal, sensitive conversations. In the podcast, Who the Hell is This Bully? These violations help speakers first express complex or personal topics in humorous and polite way, then avoid direct confrontation or offense, and us create a relaxed and relatable atmosphere for both guests and audience. By analyzing this evaluation through this cooperative principle and a politeness theory, the study highlights how language adapts to social and emotional contexts. It demonstrates that indirect communications, when used intentionally, can be more effective than direct speech in a certain situation, especially when discussing identity, belief, or personal change. Thus, pragmatic analysis of natural conversation, like a podcast, reveals the deeper strategic use of language in everyday life. So that are from me. Thank you for your attention, and thank you.